What did you say?
Well Mudda Sick Dread.
What?
Well Mudda Sick Dread.
That's better. Welcome to another episode of Well Mudda Sick. Yeah, Well Mudda Sick. Yeah, that's a different little setup. I got some pillows with me just to make sure that I'm comfortable. Let me put these down right quick and then we can start again. All right. Welcome to another episode of Well Mudda Sick. Yeah. Well Mudda Sick. You know, as usual, we're here at Chosen Few Studios, about to get into another wholesome topic again. It's been, I think, the last time. Well, before we get into that, if you would like to sponsor this show, because we got our first sponsor, by the way, that information will be revealed soon. But if you'd like to sponsor this show or any other of our shows on the Original People Network, feel free to slide in our DMs, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, for more of this great content. And then we get you on one of the hardest moving trains out right now. I even start to sigh at the beginning. But let's go to the second camera. So, on this episode, where you just get straight into it. This episode will be titled Man on the Moon. And I've been grappling with this topic for a while because I didn't know what to name it, how to address it, how to even sort of think and incorporate how I was feeling and the information I had acquired during this time to sort of help me analyze how I was feeling, why I feel this way, specifically during this time of year, the back stretch of a year. I started to figure out, it's a little bit of burnout from work, from doing the monotony of things, just needing to shake up, doing things for the same way for about during the ninth month for 9 months. After the 6th month, or after the third month, you get tired. And then dealing with the different scenarios and situations, as I look, we're going in the last quarter of the year, I think to myself, I'm like, this has been a very interesting year. A year of growth for sure. A lot of great moments, a lot of testing moments. But one thing in particular, like recently I realized the way I view the world and how I feel about things and why I could bring you this glorious content all the time on Well Mudda Sick is my spatial awareness. How I view the world and how I see things from a bird's eye view. Whereas I feel like most times I interact with most people that they understand it, but for something sort of disconnects to them or with them when it comes to getting valuable information and actually applying it to their lives. I don't know why. That's something for, I believe, questions, the many questions I have for God on that great day that I have. And yeah. But why I chose the topic Man on the Moon is it's sort of, I actually like to use some fantasy reference when it comes to whether it be, it's fantasy fiction, whether it comes to some of the mediums I like to enjoy, whether it be comics and cartoons or anime and manga or any other historical elements. I love history, documentaries, real world, other fictional tales, or anything that I am consuming on a daily basis. I say that to say what I'm feeling is very reminiscent to how wrote Dr. Manhattan in The Watchmen. This feeling of And obviously, y'all probably, I don't know if y'all know who Dr. Manhattan is, but basically, he was a scientist who got his powers through a failed experiment. And essentially, it turned him into basically this multi-dimensional figure that could see all of time and shape things, his imagination, and so on and so forth. If you want to, go watch The Watchmen. I remember they had the live series Watchmen, which was excellent. The first season, but it got canceled on HBO. You know, they have the movie that Zack Snyder directed, and then they have another part 1 animated movie that just came out this year. But go watch those if you want to have some inclination of what I'm speaking on. But why I say Dr. Manhattan, particularly because I recently watched this video where it sort of breaks down the levels of awareness and thought process that most people have. So why I bring up Dr. Manhattan is I recently watched this video where it sort of breaks down the level of consciousness most human beings exhibit from level 1 to level 9. And roughly, most people sort of resonate between levels 3 and 4, where they are conscious of their surroundings and they're conscious of their relationship circles, but that's as far as they see. They may get up into 5 when it comes to community and seeing things from perspective of large group. And I think probably put the link for that video. It's probably in the description. But as you go up the levels, your perspective grows as it pertains to anthropology, sociology, psychology, history, and how we as human beings interact with each other, and the reasoning behind our behaviors, and the reason why we make the decisions that we make. Me, I'm always a thinker. I'm always in my head thinking of how I can be better as a person. What did I do right? What I did wrong? Did I underreact in this situation? Did I overreact in this situation? Being frustrated because seeing people that I hold dear to me not see the leaves in the trees, not understanding the small details while I simultaneously seeing the big picture. And I think that's something that most people have a problem with, you know. And it's very frustrating because this is something that I would assume not only regular people would have, but let's say, for instance, executives in large companies, members of government, or other civic organizations. It would be a great understanding you would think people that are in high positions would have, but this is not so. And that ever grows my frustration, but at the same time makes me understand why the world is the way it is now. Most human beings lack a level of self-awareness. Some are a little bit better than others, where they can come in the room and instantly read the room, just sit back, watch, look at different interactions, know when to speak to someone, know when to not, learn how to read body language. But even these things that I'm speaking about now are very rare. I'm psychotic because I love that people watch all day and read body language and know how to talk to people, because it's a part of my profession, wanting to be a filmmaker, wanting to be a writer and cultivate stories and these things and bring fantasy into reality, as well as learn how to pitch ideas and sell ideas to people for them to buy in. Like, honestly, this space that we're in could not be created and crafted unless I had these abilities, because I didn't build this on my own. It was someone giving me an opportunity, and I took it and ran with it. But someone being my family, but still, I took it and ran with it. I saw a space and turned it into a studio, because I'm like, okay, we can use that. We could do this. All right, I see this and that. We can have this. Do you even know which part of the studio this is? This is a whole different new setup that I just tried today. So, it's just, and with that frustration, I often wondered if I was just this brilliant, or people just this dumb. And for the longest, I couldn't figure out, because I don't want to give myself so much credit to be like I'm better than people, because I'm never better than nobody, bro. We all have the same 24 hours each day. We all put on our pants one leg at a time. I mean, if you lay on the floor, you could put 2 foot in and pull it right up at one time. But all of us are human beings, and all of us have an expiry date. At one point in time, there will come a day where there will be mass gathering for any one of us or by our loved ones to mourn over our passing. So it can be that I'm smarter than people. And then slowly but surely I start to realize, 80% of people are stupid. Well, blissfully ignorant to stupid. Some range inside there. And then now it prompted me to answer the question, why? Why are they, or why would I call them stupid or / ignorant, whatever, within that scope? And it's more so people, a lot of people, about 80% of the world, well, not let me say 80%, about 50 to 60% of the world are often in survival mode. They can't think nothing past today. They have to try to get through today, and it's a blessing if they see tomorrow. Even though that's how I live now, going day to day, just trying to tackle what's right in front of me. Then, when tomorrow comes, we do what we got to do. So it's that. But moreover, most people are self-absorbed in anything and all things that is going on with them. So they don't have time to see outside of themselves. Now, they might say they do, but actions speak louder than words. And you have to test people by their actions. Why? For instance, I know all of us have worked in a place where you have your employers say that they greatly care about you. They say that. But then at the end of the day, things don't change until the bottom line is affected, where there's massive turnover. And you try to understand employee retention. Or they're just trying to do a job so they can keep their job. So you do things like hire people that, at best, I like to call them the Andrew Wiggins and Ben Simmons of the world. Have all the talent in the world, but low motors. So they don't last long, and they're not passionate about what they do. So eventually they either leave or get fired. And then you back in the cycle again. Where you might have people in relationships, whether it be romantic or platonic or whatever the case may be, and you would want that friend be there for you every step of the way, but they can't because they dealing with their mess. Or you might have an overestimation on how they need to show up for you, and you might be disillusioned to think that that could possibly happen. So these are some frame of references when you understand the human condition. But what I fully understand is it gets lonely the more that you become socially aware, because you start to understand all the things that I've said. And you try to find a solution and realize it is part of the design to not even have the solution. Or Most people can't take the solutions because they just can't think that far. So as you go back to the level of consciousness video I was talking about, as you go up from 1 to 2 to 3, I tell you most people exist between 3 and 4 and sometimes may go into 5. So what about happens when people live on 6, 7, 8, and 9? It gets more lonelier. Because now you have less and less people that can sort of relate to your thinking. And those people are either the ones that control everything, or they're the reclusive people that are deemed crazy or insane or whatever statement that you would make, depending on how they play the knowledge and awareness that they have. Because, you could sort of manipulate it for it to benefit you. But it's hard sometimes when you do all this healing, all this self-actualization. You get in tune with God. You start seeing things. It's almost like most people see themselves as a pawn in a chess game, while you see yourself as not even the player of the chess game. You're the person organizing the tournament for these chess players to play these chess games. You see how vast of a perspective that is? Like I say, most people see themselves as a pawn on a chessboard. The highest they think is they can maybe become a bishop or a rook or a knight. Obviously, you have the king and queen, and people are like, it'll be good one day to become a pawn, they become a king. So, they diligently try to do that. But imagine the people that don't even see themselves on the chessboard. They see many chessboards. A lot of times they see themselves as the player who is moving the pieces on the chessboard. And then, some people go farther back than that. Like I say, the organizer of the whole chess tournament, where there's multiple boards and multiple players and multiple pawns, queens, rooks, knights, all the different chess pieces. So man on the moon. Oftentimes I feel like the Watcher from Marvel, or Dr. Manhattan, because in The Watchmen, actually that line is the Watcher, Watchman. In The Watchmen, Dr. Manhattan actually leaves Earth, and does he go to the moon or he goes to Mars? He goes to some other planet to create some like a civilization or like his base there, because he deems Earth and its issues just somewhat beneath them, but somewhat unnecessary. The reason why world wars happen and people try to corrupt the good things into bad and all these different nuances. Because when you think about it from the outside looking in, a lot of this stuff don't make sense. Like, honestly, no one on this planet should be starving. But yet we have world starvation. No one should really be poor, but yet there are millions and billions of poor people. No one should be uneducated, but here we are. A lot of we shouldn't be really dealing with climate change if people wasn't so greedy and with the Industrial Revolution, as well as other mechanisms that were built for profit. But here we are. World wars, they don't really need to be no world wars. What we fighting over line if we could equally share it? Or there wasn't no borders to begin with. I mean, borders are necessary because whatever sovereign nation need to have borders to establish it as a landmass or whatever the case may be. But you get what I'm trying to say. All these things seem unnecessary when you really, really think about it. And that's why I just be sitting back just thinking in my head. And people wonder why it's rare when you see me smile, but it's like, I don't know if I know too much. I don't know if I just think too much. It'd be fine if I stop thinking, but then again, if I stop thinking, how would I exist? Would I be fulfilling my purpose? If I stop thinking, would I do things like what you're watching and listening to right now? So these past weeks, I've been learning on trying to figure out how to manage the state of being. How do I go about when you have this large, grandiose perspective? Sometimes it might feel that like you're dumbing down yourselves when you have to be around people that don't have this thing. But you don't really want to think like that because, again, go back to, you don't want to think you're better than people. All of us could die today. Simple. Anybody's liable to have an accident. Anybody's liable for their life to change in an instant. All of us was locked down when COVID happened. It didn't matter where you was rich or poor, whatever your socio-economic status was, it didn't matter. When hurricanes or natural disasters happen, they don't pick and choose who it comes for. It just happens. So I'm not better than nobody. But how do I sort of satiate these thoughts and these feelings and emotions and not come off, try to subdue my God complex? I remember, I can never remember her name. She's a director. I wouldn't say her job, but many years ago, I was telling her about like what I like about writing. She's like, Justin, you got a God complex. I was like, no. And like, yeah, you do have a God complex. And it took me some years to finally accept it. And I do have a God complex. I try not to be as humble and to sort of limit it and compress it, but it sticks its head out every now and again. But again, I am no better than anybody. I'm just someone that just sat back and actually smelled the roses. I sat and listened and built wide perspectives, even though they may not be my own, and just was open to wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. But it gets lonely on the morning when most conversations you would like to have, you can't have it with most people. And they will never understand where you're coming from or question why you think this way. But it makes you think on the limits that we actually put on ourselves and what are the mental barriers that we have in our mind. So if you're ever wondering like, how do I think of these things? How am I able to do what I do? I don't know. You got to ask God that. What? I just allow myself and open for my mind to stretch itself. I spend a lot of time there in quiet spaces and places, just listening to the AC blow as I try to relax and try to find some solace in the life. But Well Mudda Sick. That's it. That's next. That's the end of the show. Like I said before, I got a lot of things planned coming up for this last stretch of 2024. And I can't wait because 2025, oh boy, I already have a topic for Well Mudda Sick 2025. But we can get more into that another time. Well Mudda Sick. So don't forget, if you have a business or a brand that you would like to promote on any of our platforms, feel free to email us at the Original People Network at gmail.com or slide in our DMs. Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, And I think, well, I mean, if you see me on Snapchat, you can do it there too. And we can see y'all another time on Well Mudda Sick. Yeah, you see.